Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bremner's Boys podcast. I'm CJ, joined by the usual uglies, Jason down below and Nickson across from me this time. First of all, guys, we just saw the Fulham game, over the last 12 hours collectively. And it would be stupid to break tradition right now. And all I have to say is, what the fuck? Because it shouldn't have gone to penalties, in my opinion. We had a good enough team not to convincingly beat Fulham, but I think we could have at least won 1-0, maybe 2-1 if we were lucky. But let's get started with first topic, Charlie Creswell. What a fucking game he had. And we'll cross it over to Jason first to cover Creswell's game.
No worries, mate. Yeah, man. Creswell, he was massive, massive in size, massive in nature. You know what I mean?
He's only 6 foot.
Unbelievable. Like, he obviously partnered Calvin at the back there, and for me, just from the top there, he was my man of the match. Like, he was involved in everything.
Absolute man of the match performance. I agree. Continue, mate.
100%. Like, he was brave. He got on the ball. He tackled. He was strong. He took risks with his passing, which I know Bielsa loves. Unbelievable. I don't know if you noticed his diagonal balls that he played. He can play on left on his left side and right side. He was honestly unbelievable. And I think it's only one game, but if that's sort of the type of player that's waiting in the ranks, then we're looking all right, I guess, in the future.
Exciting times ahead for sure. Definitely. Nickson, what do you have to say about Creswell's game, mate?
I literally have in my notes Creswell diagonal passing. Fantastic. Yeah. So I wholeheartedly agree. Absolutely amazing form, working cooperatively with Phillips, which is absolutely beautiful to see. And especially with Phillips not playing in his usual position, with him playing in defense, it's really, really good to see that cooperation. So yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with Jason.
Absolutely.
Just even with that, I don't know if you noticed when you were watching it, but he doesn't look out of place. Like, there were times when he had to organise the wall, and he's got Stuart Dallas and Rodrigo beside him, and he's directing traffic. He just looks like
Rodrigo had a much better game this game. Like last game, I think when he, you could say assisted with the goal last game, that really helped give him that confidence boost, and he did really well this week. So mad props to him. We're starting to see him get a little bit in form, which he was definitely lacking earlier in the season so far. And a lot of people have been questioning, he's 30 million worth it. Is he? We don't know. He's not showing it. Well, last game and the game that just happened against Fulham, he's definitely turning a corner by the looks, and that's definitely what we need. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jason, but what are your thoughts on Shackleton's game? And then we'll cross over to Nickson for that after Jason.
Big Shaq. I mean, obviously Nickson's main man, Big Shaq. So it's always nice to see him. He's just a ball of energy, gets up and down. I felt. What's that?
Like Nickson.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I felt like he sort of grew into the game as it wore on. I reckon if Phillips wasn't in that team, Big Shaq would be the one that would be playing the Calvin role. And I think he's actually a future Stuart Dallas in the sense that...
I agree.
He can play multiple positions. He's just a good footballer. So wherever you put him, he's going to do a job for you. I mean, he can play on wing back and do those overlapping runs. He drops in the hole to receive the ball and sort of dictate, through the midfield. I love whenever he's in, much the same as Nickson. And yeah,
we'll pass over to Nickson to give his thoughts 100%. On Shackleton's game.
I was just going to say Shackleton was just buzzing around like a bee chasing flowers. He's just taken everything he's learnt from the 23s. He's playing so well with the team. And you can just notice that he's got his head up. He's looking for spaces. He just knows where the ball's going to land and who he's going to pass to. He doesn't really have to think. It's like it's second nature. And that to me is like the sign of a brilliant player. And to think that, how young is he? Like early 20s, I think.
Very early 20s.
Yeah, knowing that he's that young and he's playing this well so early on. Wow, we've got, as the commentators said, if this is what the young guys are doing, then the future looks incredibly bright for Leeds, and Leeds fans should be incredibly proud of themselves.
Definitely.
Oh, absolutely. Big ups to Gelhardt and McKinstry for getting their first team debuts. Big ups to you guys. And Gelhardt and McKinstry really stepped up. McKinstry definitely, when we needed him to clutch that last penalty goal. And Gelhardt just throughout the whole game in general. What are your thoughts, Nickson, on Gelhardt? And what are your thoughts, Jason, on McKinstry? So what are your thoughts on how Gelhardt went throughout his first taste of top flight minutes, Nickson?
Well, awesome to see him on. Unfortunately, they got him on in I think it was like the 64th or 65th minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have loved to have seen him in there because I had him on my starting 11 if you've had a look at the post.
You did.
And he's a brilliant young player. He knows what he's doing. His success rate with his goals is absolutely on par with Bamford, in my opinion.
Yes.
Like, he's a great player. He can play anywhere, like not in defense, but like in an attacking role. He can play like lone striker. I'd even put him as lone striker. I think he's an absolutely brilliant player.
I think Pete would have him over as lone striker.
I think, either Pete would have him lone striker or
he'd have anyone over Bamford.
Anyone over Bamford, basically.
He'd have Mellier
He'd
as
have
lone striker.
Mellier out of goals. Don't put Bamford in goals, according to Pete.
No. He'd put who would he put? Clayson in goals and Mellier in lone striker.
No,
So
he'd rather leave the goal open than put Bamford in the goal.
Yeah,
if that was our last resort.
He'd rather have 10 on the field just if it means Bamford isn't on.
Just to get Paddy back. Nah, we were talking about that today, and like he doesn't hate him.
He does.
But he doesn't love him. He doesn't love him. Quote Pete. Anyway, yeah, it would have been great to have seen Gerhard come on earlier, and not sure what you think about that, Jason. But yeah, I think we missed a bit of him.
I think I think he could have started from the second half, like the start of the second half. Maybe 50th minute. Anyway, Jason, continue with what your thoughts on that are.
I mean, with Gelhardt, I mean, he didn't get obviously much time to impress, but I think the thing that stood out the most for me was, of course, comes on and pressure situation, has to take a penalty, and that penalty that he took, top bins, just no nerves about it, was really impressive.
Coming off those goals in the 23s, wow.
Yeah. Wow. And obviously he scored that.
He had that
goal
confidence
from halfway
as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
From halfway, off the glove, bang.
Yeah.
Straight in. Not a care in the world.
That's some FIFA type shit when you're playing it,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've got that video on my phone. If I'm feeling like shit, I just bring it up. Oh, finally. Enough to make a grown man cry.
Right. Honestly, it is. And what are your thoughts on McKinstry, Jason?
Yeah, look, again, probably didn't get enough minutes in the actual game to make a huge impact. But again, just going off the penalty, he steps up obviously after the first 5 are taken and he has to score. And you look out who's taking the next one, McKinstry, and you go, is this a Leeds player or is a little boy ran onto the field, from the crowd? But the keeper as well tried psyching him out. But he literally just, again, nerves of steel and just put it in that bottom corner and then walked back and celebrated with the boys. So it was just, I guess, on that act alone, it was really good to see some of the youngsters get put in that pressure situation and cope with it, which is
to be able to cope well under pressure is definitely a good trait. And I think Bielsa did well. Because I think Bielsa maybe potentially saw it going down to the wire, not necessarily penalty shootouts, but, going down to the wire in general. And I think, he did well with that. And speaking of celebrating and stuff, the fans.
Oh, I was just about to do that segue for you. I was so close to doing it.
Too bad. You're welcome. I did it. But first of all, Fulham were friggin' quiet as, weren't they? Like, they were only vocal in the penalty shootout.
It's like they all just rocked up for the penalties and then went home.
Yeah. Like, what were some standout chants that you guys noticed throughout the game?
It's a library.
Yep.
Yeah, that was.
Is this a library?
There was a part when
we all love Leeds. We all love Leeds. That's
obviously marching on together, but that's a given.
Yeah.
And I think
honestly, I preferred "We All Love Leeds" in this game in particular.
Yeah. It's always good to hear it.
Yeah, go ahead, Jason. Sorry.
No. I reckon they sang that for about literally 10 minutes straight.
We all love Leeds.
It's a library.
Yep. They did.
And
it was just even the commentators had something to say about how vocal the fans were and how not The Fulham fans were.
Yeah, no joke. They literally almost said like, the Leeds fans have a point here. The Fulham fans are not much coming out from those guys, even though it is their home ground.
Yeah, like there was 11,000 people in the stands, only 2 of which, like 2,000, not 2 people, 2,000-ish were Leeds fans.
Yep, we're noisy.
Right? Like, what does that say about
Well, I think
Fulham?
there was a stat there that there was roughly about 50% of the crowd were Leeds fans. So,
yeah.
Like, obviously,
Great
we know what Leeds fans are like, but I mean, it speaks volumes, I guess, literally, as far as our support for the team on a cold, Tuesday,
on a shitty
night. Yeah. Amazing.
Especially when everyone has to go to work the next day.
Even the penalties, you see that the flip of the coin, and Fulham chose to go towards their fans.
Yeah,
their first penalty taker, and they're walking up to take their first pen, and they've got Leeds fans overtaking the stadium.
Yeah, they did.
Shouting abuse at them.
Absolutely. I think it was great. It really just shows the passion that Leeds fans have, and like second to none. There's, as I said in previous episodes, there's a reason Elland Road was named the best atmosphere in the Premier League in the first match week this year already, And as Jason said, and pun intended, it speaks volumes for us as fans. Do you have anything to add to that, Nickson, before we go on to the next
I was just
topic?
going to say, I jumped on the Facebook group in my work break, and I saw like the Leeds, the big one, and there were just people saying, we're still on the train traveling home from the game. We're all drunk. We've got to work in the morning, but how bloody good was that?
Yeah.
There's like 50 of those comments. Like, it's insane. Like, to think that they go out of their way, jump on the train, go to the game, leave the game, like have to deal with the abuse from the other fans, probably get back on the train.
They'd be dealing the abuse to the other fans.
Yeah, we'd hope so, but there's less of them, technically.
Yeah, true.
And anyway, and then get back on the train, go home, have like an hour's worth of sleep, and then go to work in the morning if they're like, retail
Laborers,
workers or whatever.
winter workers, whatever. Yeah,
unbelievable support.
It's dedication. It's amazing, and that's what embodies a fan base. Not just Leeds, but any fan of any team that does that sort of dedication. They are the true bread and butter of the fan base of every team.
It's not even just about turning up; it's they're turning up and they're actively supporting it in a Carabao Cup game.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely. Now, switching back to players in focus, Somerville and how his game went. What are your thoughts on that, Jason? Because that was a talking point that you wrote up in our group chat. What are your thoughts on Somerville's game?
Yeah, look, he came in and out of the game, but I found that, he's again, it's that enthusiasm as an under 23, a lot of energy. He intercepted I cut out a pass that in the first half, and he set up Tyler Roberts, who shot straight at the keeper. But I guess he's proactive. He runs into the channels, and he sort of works up and down. I think there was, even in that first half, he gave the ball away, but then tracked back and he put in a nice little sliding tackle just to put it out of play. And one thing that I noticed about him that I haven't seen, obviously, from the weekend when he had his Premier League debut, he's a bit of a fiery customer as well. He's got a bit of that competitive nature in him, which I really like as well. Yeah.
And I like that, as long as it doesn't go red cards all the time. But absolutely, you need a bit of mongrel. You need someone in the team, no matter what team it is, with a bit of mongrel.
Yeah, definitely.
Someone that can throw the other team off their game mentally.
100%. So he's going to be a player. Like, he's definitely more minutes under his belt, and he probably will get some more time in the Premier League as well. But he's going to be some player.
And speaking of players, youngsters, because we had a lot of youngsters get some game time this Carabao Cup game. Greenwood still failed to get minutes. What does he have to do? Who does he have to suck to get onto the field?
Bielsa won't play him. Bielsa just won't do it. I don't know why.
I don't think he will, because we're getting towards somewhat of the business end of Carabao Cup, because we're now into the round of 16. So you don't want to be playing, Greenwood, who's literally, excuse the pun, green. He's not seen, first team minutes. So you wouldn't risk a player like that in the round of 16. And you definitely wouldn't risk him in Premier League just yet. So unfortunately, where do we see, like I said last week, Greenwood not getting a start until next year, like next season.
No, he's going to get a start. I think, look, if we get a few games up in the Prem, they're going to put him on.
Yeah.
And I think
if we're comfortably in the 11 to 8 sort of spot.
And even if they've put a few goals away and they've just killing time, waiting for full time, they'll put him on. Well, I hope they'll put him on. Bielsa's pretty unpredictable with that. He'll start a bunch of the 23s and he'll just completely ignore Greenwood. So
he's so unpredictable. He got a yellow card in the game that just happened, which has been a talking point that I want to say.
Talking point?
Absolutely, it is. It's a nice little segue there.
To say about that one.
So let's start off with Jason with that, and we'll switch over to Nickson because he's probably got a lot more to say than Jason does about that. Go ahead, Jason.
Oh, I mean, unheard of Bielsa getting a yellow. I mean, the only thing I could probably say is that Bielsa, as we know, he's pretty calm on the bench, and he does his little shuffles up and down as a
shuffles in his squats,
in the corner,
sips his coffee, and that's really all you sort of see of him. So for him to be animated. That animated and upset about something, I don't exactly know. I'm assuming he must have been upset with Fulham's treatment, I guess, going into tackles. They were putting a couple of late tackles, especially on Stuart Dallas and even Somerville. So maybe it has something to do with that. Did you see that, Nickson?
I saw. Look, the late tackles I can agree with. When I replayed him getting the card, well, Pete reckons he was yelling at the ref.
He was. That's what it was deemed to be. And
I think
you can't do that and not get yellow.
Yeah, I think, look, you see him on the sidelines all the time, and there's always those candid snapshots of him just yelling, squatting down, just having a mad yell.
No, he was standing and yelling directly at the fourth official.
Something must have happened.
Talking shit about Bielsa.
Everyone does, but unfortunately, he needs to be held accountable. Anyone who gets a yellow, player or coach, needs to be held accountable for what they did, unless it's Stroik, which we know definitely didn't deserve the red. I'm saying, as in particular, if they blatantly did something and it's captured, you need to hold them accountable. Unfortunately, in Bielsa, we trust and we need to hold accountable to the same standards that we hold the players.
Although I do have to say, I hope that the standards for holding the coaches accountable maintains it stays the same. So, for example, with Klopp just gets off, literally just poking the ref on the shoulder, just saying, "Look at this, nothing." Yeah. Stroik gets a.
Well, he didn't just do that; he was out of his box.
It was also out of his box, yeah. But that was he didn't come out of his box because he's got privileges. But anyway,
Bielsa will probably be the first one to put his hand up and acknowledge. I mean, he's obviously an amazing coach,
and he owned that. So I absolutely think he'll own this.
He did put it in one of those things where he's probably had a word to them a few times, and then he's got obviously frustrated.
He's got frustrated because they haven't been listening.
Which I actually like at the same time, because I mean he's flying the flag for the players at the same time. He's obviously he might have toed that line, but when he sort of got that yellow, he goes back into his box.
Squats on his chair. Sips his coffee menacingly.
Yep. So I don't mind that too much.
As long as they hold him to the same standards they hold everyone else. I don't want to see it where Klopp and all the others who are held in high regard, they're just all getting off and the refs are paying them. And then you got bloody Bielsa and stuff suffering because of it. Yeah. The rule needs to be applied evenly across the board.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. And maybe obviously Klopp, unfortunately what's done is done. There's no sense grinding on it, but maybe moving forward, due to Bielsa, maybe moving forward from this game onwards, it will become the standard, sort of thing. And speaking of refs, not related to Leeds, but we have, because we are Aussies, we have the first international non-British refereeing an official Premier League match, and that person is Australian. Big ups to him. And he's going to be refereeing the Newcastle United game. How do you think he'll go?
Yeah, look,
it's big to put Aussies on the map even more so.
100%. It's actually funny you say that, because I watched a video the other day of him mic'd up in his last game. Was it Brisbane and Newcastle?
Yep.
I mean, from what I got from that, he seems pretty calm and collected, and he he talks to the players and he uses the VAR, so the Premier League will love him.
Thank God.
And he's come through the ranks with the EFL as well, because you can't just expect to come from the A-League straight over to the Premier League. You've got to earn your stripes. And he has. So I absolutely agree. I think, if we ever get him as a ref, like when Leeds are playing, it'll benefit us, because there's been so many times this season when VAR hasn't happened and we needed it to fucking happen.
Well, from when he was mic'd up from that video, he was very clear in his communication with players, because he was mic'd up, obviously, you can hear him, the chats that he has with the VAR. And that's something probably that I think, to give fans perspective and clarity, I guess, and sort of get an eye into the mind of what the referees are thinking. That'd be something that I wouldn't mind seeing in the Premier League itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah. What do you reckon, Nickson?
I was going to say, I'm not sure how many people are watching from Leeds or how many people are watching from Australia, but when you watch the NRL, the refs, you can hear pretty much everything they're saying.
They're always mic'd up, and when they're talking to the bunker, it actually comes through the loudspeakers at the stadiums.
I didn't know that. I didn't know
so
that
good.
one, but I'm pretty deaf.
Yeah. But yeah, at the games, like whenever you hear them talking through the TV to the bunker, you also at the games hear through the loudspeaker. You hear the bunker talking to them and them talking to the bunker.
Well, then there you go. Universal standard. Just do it. Like,
absolutely.
Seriously.
Got the technology there. Might as well get behind it.
Get a mic and put it on and hook it up to a PA.
Exactly. And also, this is off topic because it's NRL again, real quick. But there's also a thing that you can get called sports ears, where it's not just rugby league, but you can take it to an AFL game, you can take it to a cricket match, you can take it to a soccer match, and you can put it into ears because it comes with earphones. You can tap into the referee's microphone frequency so you can hear them and the commentary of the game at the same time. So like the live broadcast commentary and the refs while watching the game, because it'll be harder to hear the ref, like in the sense of, say they're talking to the scrum. You can hear the ref talking without having to wait to hear it or hope to hear it over the speakers. It's been a thing for over 20 years.
Where do you buy this?
Peter wins score for $60, my guy.
Okay. I'm going to have to check that after the podcast.
Yeah. It taps into their radio frequencies, like the UHF radio frequencies.
Obviously, through to the last 16. What do you think about the cup run, Nickson?
Oh, God. It's always in my head. I'm like, I'd love to see us come out top 10. Be beautiful. I don't know. We're too unpredictable. We're too hot and cold. I just don't know.
Would you rather we focus on finishing mid-table for the Premier League over?
Oh, Prem over the Cup. Over the Cup. But having said that, it would be great to have a good Cup run.
Yeah.
And it would also be great to win my bets amongst my co-workers, because I now owe them a bunch of beers after our last few games. So, yeah, like we're pretty unpredictable. Are you going
double or nothing after the last few games and just doubling?
They won't take double or nothing because they're scared. They're scared because they saw that today. They were like, "You're lucky you got off the penalties." So
you should go double or nothing. Leeds United
I want to
Liverpool on December 27th.
All right, well, I'll put it to them. They won't say yes, but I will put it to them. But yeah, again, we're hot and cold. I'd love to see us do really well.
You're in and you're out.
That, yes, thanks for the enthusiasm. But then I'd love to see us also focus on the Premier League and cementing that top 10 finish, maybe even a top 5 if we really bust ourselves.
We will not make Europa League. Wishful thinking, though.
I'd love to see. You can always be optimistic.
I'd love to see us try, but we won't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, look.
Yeah.
Being realistic, next year I see us definitely making a good push towards it, because injuries at the moment, but those players will be more or less healthy as fuck for next season. We could definitely make a attempt for it then.
Yeah, I'm always an optimist. Like I'll always wake up for a 5 a.m. shift and be like, I'm going to feel great at 10:30 a.m. or I'm going to feel great. And I'll always feel a bit meh, but still I'm always thinking I'm going to feel absolutely fantastic.
I'm going to back it up at 11. I'll be fine then.
Yeah, I'll be right. I'll be ready to watch the game, falls asleep. Yeah, I'm an optimist. I wish we'd finish top 5, top 10, more realistic. Yeah. But if we got a top 5, I'd be so happy. There's a few things that I'd definitely do when I found out that news.
I think, my philosophy on this year is probably the same as last year. In the last year, I went into the league thinking, as long as I don't watch a game where if we lose, we're going to drop into the bottom 3, I'll be happy.
Are at.
And to be honest with you, my philosophy is the same this season. Just because it is, I'm happy
let me
just
put it
playing
this way,
Premier League at the moment.
It could be going worse for us right now. We could be Arsenal.
Yeah.
Oh, when I shared this with that co-worker, with said co-worker, he's going to hate me now. He's going to murder me.
Yeah, it's not going to endear us to any of those fans.
It's my view.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Jason. Simple survival, but not to its worst extent, as long as I can watch a game and watch it, even if we lose, but knowing that even if we lose, it doesn't matter. As in where we are on the ladder. But at the moment, I can't do that right now. Personally, luckily though, the next few runs, the next few matches, are possible, for us to kickstart our season, you could say. And speaking of, before we go into our video review of the Fulham game, let's talk about the Aston Villa game coming up and the preview. Just let's basic right now because it's still quite a friggin' ways away.
West Ham.
Oh, fucking West Ham. I know we've got Villa coming up. Yeah, so 3, 2.
Sorry.
And speaking of upcoming matches, we've got West Ham coming up on Sunday. There's no point speculating about lineups, but for anyone who wants to find our predicted lineups, they will be posted on Saturday on our Instagram page, Bremner's Boys Podcast. And interact with us over there in the comments if you agree with any of our lineups. But score predictions, my guys. What do you think the score is going to be and who will win? Let's start with you, Nickson.
3-1 to Leeds. Again, I'm holding strong on the 3-1.
I am going to be very optimistic with this game because, first of all, it is a must-win game for Leeds in the Premier League. There's no ifs, buts, or coconuts about it. We need to win. And I think the boost that we've had this game just gone against Fulham and even a little bit against the game that just happened beforehand, the 1-1 draw, especially with Rodrigo showing, as I mentioned earlier, a bit more confidence. I think we will get away with the win with a 2-1.
See, I'm just true to form. I'm thinking about West Ham. They're a strong side. They're going to have Antonio back, who's a big, strong piece of man. I'd probably say a 3-1 win would be extremely, nice and not out of the question. But I think I would take a 1-1 draw, given that I think West Ham are a decent team.
These two teams have met regularly in recent seasons, both in the Championship and in the Premier League.
Also, I did me homework. This is a genuine part of the episode. I did me homework, and Fulham, they are honestly worse than Leeds, if we're being honest, because they can't stay in the Premier League more than one season. They've been promoted, relegated over the last 6 seasons.
They're like a house music song. Build up and drop and build up and drop. That's
it.
Yeah.
I honestly, and currently they're in relegation zone for the AFL at the moment. I know it's early days, but one can only hope.
Yeah. I was also going to say, I noticed we're wearing white shorts with the blue shirt.
Yeah.
Do we wear blue shorts with the blue shirt usually?
Usually, yes.
Why are we wearing white shorts?
Well.
Probably because EFL. And as in probably because Carabao Cup, not
True,
regular.
But we do have a different
game.
armband, like no Premier League armband. They changed it.
No, we had the no room for racism on it.
I knew that. I'm saying we didn't have the Premier League patch. Obviously, we had.
But this is only the second time
that's
in
all
either
good.
club's history that they've met.
I just figured, by the way, the more we keep it paused, the more we don't get recording. So I'm just going to keep the recording, the footage of it going, and we'll just talk over it.
Cup competition.
So, what are your thoughts on Phillips not being given the Carabao Cup captaincy again?
Oh, given straight to Somerville to have a real run at goal here. Somerville's into the penalty area, tees up Tyler Roberts.
That was a good attempt.
The low drive, it's come back out for Rodrigo.
And
great cross for Somerville.
Yeah.
Rodrigo, was
he intercepted that well, didn't he? Tyler's unlucky there, really. I mean, the ball's played a little bit beyond him.
You think, okay.
I guess he did as much as he could with that ball.
I think if he tried to chip it
pass to Roberts,
more than belt it.
Unfortunately, when it does come back out to Rodrigo, he has to score. That's an awful
That was a good shot as well. That was on target.
It isn't a pass. He's trying to put it into the back of the net.
He obviously has to adjust his body to sort of get his shot off. But, I mean, Somerville, you can't fault him. He's made that opportunity by, obviously getting forward and reading that pass. So he's done really well there as well.
Also, if I'm just going to turn it up a bit, for everyone for this episode, listen to the crowd.
Yeah.
Times the pass well. Good save, wasn't it, from Rodek? Now Rodrigo. And he sets something up.
That entire crowd was out throughout the whole game. To anyone who didn't listen or watch the game, that was all Leeds fans the entire way.
That's
It
an
takes
away
his
goal.
time over the pass. Now sets off on a run forward. Infield it goes to Cleach, and it's into Rodrigo in the penalty area.
Another chance gone begging,
Tell
and
you
another
what,
chance by
He
Rodrigo,
had
but he was
4 or
on form.
6. I think he had 5.
And he just
This
gets
is
his
2 so
shot
far.
stubbed.
that was such
Sticks under his
good
foot,
build-up
and as a
play as
result,
well.
it
It was
goes
such
It
a
wide.
was.
shame that
Position in
It
the
really
penalty area.
was.
It's
little
a great
reverse
move,
ball
but
by
once
Click
again,
and-
once Rodrigo gets there,
And Click was on as well. He did well today compared to last game.
Expect
Yeah.
that from him, but he certainly didn't show
that
it on
little
that
run there as
occasion.
well.
Next
Oh.
1-2, Click plays it back
It's
to
nice
him.
to see.
They
him
were
just
really
sit back on the
clicking
outside.
well together.
10 12 just now. Can you find the bottom corner? And
Sorry, that was terrible.
No, keep him coming.
Oh,
Proved himself to have
Although,
fine
also big
repertoire
props,
of shots.
unfortunately, big ups to
years previous.
Cabano.
Mano
He
steps
did
back.
really well for Fulham
Knockout steps
in the
back,
game
all
last
right
night.
on the edge of the Leeds penalty box. Fulham have a real opportunity here as the ball is driven
And
over.
there's the
Safe
brick
as
wall.
houses.
There's the brick
Saw that
wall.
one
A
late.
good
It was
save.
going in. Stretched out those long arms.
An awkward
Never
one as
getting
well.
Goal.
it's a fantastic save, it really is, because that certainly was flying in with really good pace, good technical free kick, and I think
Brilliant.
Melia actually
Can't
This
fault
ball
him.
into the net
Side
there,
of
isn't
the
it? So for
wall
him to push it out,
should have
it's
been. It's
Yeah.
gone over the wall.
a more
You can't
difficult
fault
save
him.
than
He's
what
a
it looks
French
like.
god.
Lead into the centre
Also,
circle.
this bloke,
Yeah.
fucking, he was all over us like flies on shit the whole game.
So it goes, and there's
Quick
a
one
break
in.
forward here from
I can't
Onomar.
give him enough
Onomar
credit.
strong,
Unfortunately, I
tries a
shouldn't have
shot,
to.
and
But,
Melia
mate,
has to tip that
just
one over
that
the crossbar.
throughout the whole fucking
It was
game from him.
hit straight through the
Yeah.
middle. It was hit powerfully.
Amazing
Melia
save
had
by
to
the
deal
Iceman.
with it.
Well, once
Oh,
he
it
gave
was
the ball away, Onomar just strode
absolutely
forward.
cold-blooded.
Since he was
Yeah.
lining up a
Yeah.
shot, yes, he was a long way out.
Also, that shot was
25,
out of
30
the
yards.
box.
Left-hand side. Now James is brought into play. Can he attack the edge of the penalty area for Leeds?
This
He
was a
plays the
chance
ball
gone
onto the penalty
begging.
spot from where it's headed clear. To
Yeah,
the box
the
with a
defenders
drive,
done
and
really
it's
well
blocked.
there, to be
They
fair.
have,
Like,
they have,
That's the
unfortunately,
first
yeah.
sight of goal Leeds have had for a while. Still there for James to win a header for Leeds. Loops up in the air. Good post stays
Also,
in the
big
penalty
props to
area.
James for
attacking it for
you know,
Leeds on the edge of
having
the
a
box.
kid
What
and
did he
then
do with
coming
this?
and
Plays it
playing.
onto
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
Just, you know,
foot, then onto
casually
the
getting
left. Gives it
helicoptered
back to
out for the
Forshaw.
game.
Yeah.
Time again.
Time
to
before
Shearer.
self,
He needs to get it
anyone?
into the box.
Wow.
Ball is swung in.
Right?
Rodrigo's waiting.
And he's
That was
only
his-
new.
And that's the last
sat with
action.
his lady the whole afternoon, didn't he? And then he got the helicopter down from London and
Yep.
straight into
Yep.
the first
Straight
team.
on. Played great form.
Of the game, it finishes here.
And obviously
0-0
his penalty
in the
as well that will
Carabao
come
Cup.
up at towards the end of this video.
Here comes the
No
heart rate.
pressure, just
penalties. So Rodrigo, hands on hits on the edge of the penalty area. First
Fucking
penalty for Leeds.
uns.
Rodrigo strikes it.
typical
into the
striker's
back of
finish,
the net.
just strong down the
Keeper
middle.
up and down on his line. Onomar steps up
I
and hits a
swear, when I saw that, before it hit the bar, I was like, it's going top corner. Fuck. But no.
Yeah.
And the first Fulham penalty kick has been missed here. Short run up.
Here he is, the masterclass.
Referee gives a
Okay.
signal.
Boom.
James strikes
Bada
the
bing,
ball.
bada
Right
boom.
down the middle.
Yeah.
And these did the thumb suck as a tribute to his new
Yeah.
to his new bub.
Is on the goal line. Leeds have scored 2. And Fulham
Oh.
just
That was
So
lucky.
unlucky there, yeah.
waits for the signal.
Lucky for
Gets
them,
the
unlucky
for
goal.
Prince.
Starts his run up. Calvin
The goat,
Phillips.
yep.
Great penalty
Solid.
from Calvin Phillips.
Prince Phillips,
Yeah.
Steps up. strides
making him
back.
look
Look at
bigger
him.
than he already fucking is.
I love Meslier's little smile there.
Penalty.
Yeah.
Against Cabano.
There you got it, Cabana got it.
Yeah.
Dallas has to wait, and Dallas's shot is saved by the goalkeeper.
Not usual for Stewie Dallas to let us down in that spot.
Yeah,
but
that's what I thought too. I'm never
Next
usually
penalty.
nervous with Dallas, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Brian,
He did make
more
a
nervous with Firpo.
Brian
And
strikes. Oh,
They fucking skied it.
Joe Bryan.
Yeah.
And Forshaw
Oh.
skies it
For
too.
sure. Oh,
Yeah, and
he
just
nails
quickly,
the
obviously,
crossbar. How long?
this morning in Melbourne, we obviously had an earthquake. I thought at first I thought it was Forshaw's ball hitting our back garden. But
I mean, some say it's still in orbit to this minute.
yeah. Yeah, it would have come down with some force.
Yeah.
Way over the crossbar.
You definitely wouldn't put him in this situation for sure.
Wow.
To the edge
Yeah.
of the penalty area, drives the ball.
A good
low,
pen.
it's the far corner of the net.
That was good, yeah, unfortunate. Okay.
I was nervous about Firpo.
Oh,
That's
that's
Phil
beautiful.
Poppins, the top
Strong.
corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Top corner.
It's Fulham.
If Bamford plays, does Bamford get a goal in the
I don't
shootout?
know. I'd be if he's
We
gonna
know what
get
Pete
one,
would
it's
be
just like a
saying.
little it's just like a little chip in.
Yeah, we know
You
what
know,
Pete
just like
would
a
be
little
saying.
nudge. Oh wow, okay, he's done it, and he does that thing, and then there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their captain play the ball into the back of the net.
Baby.
He steps up, strikes the
Bang.
ball brilliantly, confidently.
Striker's pen that one.
Look at the baby face on him.
Melier moves up and
Not
down
as
his
bad
goal
compared
line.
to mine.
Cordova Reed
Nah,
strikes it
yours
straight
is
down
yours
the
is
middle
more
and
seedy
straight
than
into the
baby
back of the
face.
net.
Yeah,
Here he
I'll
is.
admit it
Here he is.
There he goes.
The
Oh,
intruder.
look at him.
Down. Steps off his goal line just to
Hey,
delay things.
keeper
here.
were doing his best to put
Pressure
him
on
off as well.
another set of
He was. So
young
mad props to
shoulders.
the keeper.
Yeah.
As he steps up
And he gets
Clinical.
it.
And he didn't even dive for it.
That's probably the cheekiest kind of
Also, he didn't even we'd won at that point. The crowd's going wild. He's just running back to the team, not even
Yeah.
cheering.
Just chilling.
He
knows what he's done.
Ice in his veins.
Muniz back towards the edge
big
of the
man.
penalty area.
Looks like Vince
Melier,
Vaughn, this
one arm
bloke.
stretched
He
out
does a
on
bit,
the
doesn't
other.
he?
As Muniz steps up and
Ah.
saves it.
Yeah.
And Leeds United it is who make further progress in the Carabao
good.
Cup. And Melier with the outstretched arm.
That's their centre
Fuck.
forward.
Wow.
When you're down that list of who's taking the next penalty and you go, I've never seen this person before. This is their debut. And even the person I was most nervous about was Firpo, to be honest with you. I thought
Yeah.
he was
Also, can we take a minute to call out the commentators of the game because they jinxed the game? 10 to 12 minutes into the game, they said this game most likely will go to penalties.